So, kumusta? Kumusta na kayo? Kumusta ang long weekend nyo? Bitin. Magastos ba? Bitin, no? Bitin na bitin. Alright.
Bitin na.
Kulang pa. Yeah, I'm gonna go home and sleep again after this. So, we'll continue. Okay lang sa inyo. I'm gonna continue the overview of Scripture, overview of the Old Testament, and overview, so that you use it. So anong gagawin mo sa overview? Pag walang mga specifics. Well, once in a while, I'll go specific. I'll do a specific verse, and we'll talk about it, and we'll do it, right? But I'm gonna focus on an overview. Why? Right, so that when you read Scripture, you'll read it now at least with some input on the overview, on why is the book there, and what is it trying to say, and also just to help you with your reading and your reading and your study of the Bible. And also, so when you study the Bible and you discover God also on your own, because in-encourage namin dito na you will also you'll also study the Bible, right? You'll also read it and look up the background and everything on the book and why that was written and what it's about, right? Yeah. So why study the Bible? Why are we talking about studying the Bible? Why is it important? Right? Diba? Kasi last week we talked about Exodus, isn't it? And what God was doing in the second part, right? Forming a people, trying to show them the values of what it means to be a people of God, right? And that's the same thing for us. You know? Do you know what I'm saying? This is why we're doing this. So it's for us. So we grow into knowing God more and more. We discover more of who He is, right? I've been doing this for what, over 20 years, I think. 20 years, man. Been doing this 20 years. What have I been doing for 20 years? When I say this, not this all the time. This, but I've been 20 years pa. Who's good in math here? Accountant, accounting student. Oh, wait, I'm being videoed. Wait, have to be. Sorry. 1986. 1986. Started doing this thing with God. 1986, 2000. 33 years?
Yes.
Oh no! I thought high school was just 20 years ago.
High school 20.
High school was 40 years ago. I can't preach anymore. Goodbye. I'm depressed. But by the way, your fingers on the lens.
Hindi, kita ka pa rin.
Edit.
Don't worry. Recorded yan.
Edit I'll review it. Edit ko mamaya.
Hindi, okay. May editor na dito eh.
So high tech. Reason why, so for 30 years. So, I studied, Bible, studied these things, got to know God, got to know Wimber through tape, cassette tapes. How many of you here know what a cassette tape is? Right, we've just aged ourselves. Yes. yes, cassette tape. Through cassette tapes, no?
Meron pa ako dyan.
And knowing God, right? And I read the Bible, right? I've done all these things, and and some of the things I'm teaching now, I'm saying now are not what I said before. I've actually changed some of those things. Because, why? Because I've come to discover Him a little bit more. Right? And it's part of our journey, it's part of our growth and getting to know God, and we will get to know Him more, and then He changes our lives, and our lives change. That's why we study the Bible. That's why I'm actually inuunahan ko ng sarili ko sa message, pero sasabihin ko na lang ngayon. One of the reasons why we come here, why do we come here? You know, why do we have Sunday? Why do we have Christmas? Why do we have mga celebration as Christians? Why do we have all these other celebrations? Why do we have, when we do spiritual direction, we have you talk about rhythms, right? So you have your time of Lección Divina. You make time for rest, for Sabbath, for a celebration, for church. Why do we do this? We do this for a reason. We do this because this is a time where we discover, where we are reminded of who we are and who God is. Right? And this is what we're going to be talking, and this is what this book that we are going to be looking at is a very exciting book. How many of you have read Leviticus as much as you have read the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Pedro? John, okay. Gisela's like, Anyway, so, Leviticus, anyone? Yes. Are you still reading it now with excitement? Or binabasa mo to kasi hindi ka makatulog, so binabasa mo yan, nakatulog ka, right? After like, Anyway, so we're gonna look at Leviticus. We'll have an overview so that you can enjoy. If someone can help me by next week, I would like to have PowerPoint versions of this, of Genesis and all of this. I'll try to share it where everyone can see it. So Leviticus, Leviticus comes right after Exodus. When Exodus ended, right? They built a tent. Diba? God came down. God came down. Love came down. God came down, right? Galing in my songs, huh? Love came down. But God came down in fire into the tent. God was talking to Moses from the tent. You know what I mean? So I was here. God is here. Moses is there. God is talking to Moses there. Why? Because Moses could not enter the tent, right? And that's a problem, because God wanted to have a people. The whole purpose of God from Genesis after the fall and then Exodus is to have a people where His presence will be with them. The problem here now is God is with His people, but they cannot enter into His presence because of what happened. Why? Well, God is holy, right? But also because of what they did, diba? With the golden calf, right? They made a golden calf, they did these things, and so they broke the first two rules or laws of God, yes? You remember this? And that's why Moses couldn't enter into the tent of meeting. They couldn't be in the presence of God. And so we have this, so Israel has this problem. Israel is a sinful people, not pure, and they're in the presence of a holy, pure God, a holy, pure power. How are they going to live? Because they're going to die, right? Not because God... I want to just... Okay, ganito yun. You think, sometimes when we read... How many of you, when you read these scriptures, when you read this, you think, oh, God is holy, you can't come into God's presence, you're going to die. Right? If you come near, God's going to kill you because you're going to die. How many of you heard that? That God is going to kill you if you come into His presence when you're not holy, you're not pure, because He's going to kill you because you're not holy. How many of you heard that? Learned that, right? So you're kind of like, God just... It kind of has a skewed understanding of God, yes? Right? But if I give you a screwdriver right now and you saksak mo yung screwdriver dyan sa kuryente na yan, ano mangyayari sa'yo? Ha? Bakit? Bakit?
Well, if the screwdriver has insulator.
Oh my
not
gosh,
gonna-
bro.
Sabi ko,
Don't mess up my illustration. Edit, ha? Edit. Sige na nga, wag na. If you get a screwdriver na walang insulation, hinahawakan mo yung metal, ay sak mo dyan sa outlet, ano mangyari sa'yo? Bakit? Halika! Halika, saksak mo dyan. Halika! Alambre ako dito, saksak mo dyan. Halika! We will have a science experiment with you now. Wala ka dyan. Masak is Pastor electrocuted young child. Just to prove a reason. Hello, Internet. Anyway, oh my gosh, you just... Oh my God, 15 minutes. Oh my goodness, I'm panicking now. Where was I? Okay.
Screwdriver.
Why? Bakit makakuryente ka? Kung ilagay mong daliri mo dyan sa loob ng sasaksakan, why will you get electrocuted? Why? Is the kuryente mad at you?
no.
No, right? It's because it is electricity, right?
Yes.
And God is the same thing. God, by nature of who He is and how He is holy, is clean, is good, is powerful, is just who He is. He's not mad. He's just like, don't come near, because if you come near and you're not in a good place, you're going to die. And I don't want that. Okay, that's why we have Leviticus. That's why there's a book of Leviticus who you don't read. And if you read Leviticus, you'll discover that God provided for Israel, God provides for His people a way for them to become worthy, to become pure, to become clean, to become holy, so that they can enter into His presence without dying. So that, parang insulation, never mind insulation, that's not even in the analogy. So that when you become changed in such a way, and even if you put your finger in that corriente, you're not gonna get shocked. You're not gonna get electrocuted or die, right? Because of what you have gone through, because of obeying and following the rituals and the laws, understanding the laws, understanding God, and preparing yourself to be in His presence. The book after, oh my goodness, the book after Leviticus is another good book that you should all read. Numbers. How many of us have read Numbers? It's like the most exciting book. Not the numbers you read, Aya, because the numbers you read is another, it's like debit credit numbers, not a good one. Okay, the book of Numbers, right? That's also exciting. I'll tell you next week. Okay? But the book of Numbers starts like this. God spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting. Right? And why is the difference? What's the difference? What happened? Leviticus happened. That's why Moses can now enter. Enter in. And then to make it short, that's why we can enter in. Right? So all Jesus did and everything. That's why we enter in also. We could become the church. Anyway, that's another. I'll get there. If I don't get there, please remind me. Okay? God, okay, my first point of the message of Leviticus, and you take this home. God took the initiative to provide a way to reconcile, to heal the relationship of His people, of His rebellious people, to Himself. God made a way. God initiated. Okay, so and if you see, and if you read Leviticus, and then, you know, the problem with reading Leviticus, I think sometimes, is because you get confused with all of the sacrifice, killing the animals, pouring out the blood.